I am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
William D. Memorial High School D-Cup Alumni presents its third annual fundraising barbecue on Memorial Day, May 30th, 2022. Wear your favorite jersey to Wilsonwood Park in Mount Vernon, New York. Remember to take exit 12 off the Hutchinson River Parkway. Music by DJ Man Max of Sound 1000. Proceeds to aid the William D. High School Da Costa Cup team. For more information, contact Keegan 304-607-4034. Our Codfish at 954-639-2991. Proud of people, it's important. Remember, make sure say oh no did that.
All right, greetings and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am your host, Maninsman, and today is a very, very special day. We have a very special guest with us that I'll be introducing to you in short order, but it's going to be a great interview. And as usual, I want to just use this opportunity to share a thought of inspiration with you, right? As you think, so you are. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you want to change who you are, you have to change how you think and what you think on. And so you change what you think on by what you spend your time and your life focused on, right? If garbage in, then garbage comes out. If you want to change your action, change your thinking. And if you want to change your thinking, then you must change what you're taking in. All right, so that's a word of inspiration for you, but you can change. You can be better. The version of you that you're seeing now is not the best version of you. There is a better version, because as long as you have life, there's more growth and development. And self-development demands self-discipline. Want to say a big thank you also to all our sponsors. Want to thank Launch Legacy, where they handle risk and seek legacy for all your personal insurance needs in Canada and the USA. Visit them at launchlegacy.com or call or text them at 647-989-0782. Also want to say a big thank you to Prestige Finance, lending lending a helping hand when you need it most. They can be reached at 876-884-7390. They are located in Linstead, St. Catherine, Jamaica, and they will offer you a loan of up to 100,000 Jamaican dollars, no processing fee, same day processing, and 0 to 4% interest rate. A big thank you to all our subscribers, all the persons who take time to watch our content. Really, really appreciate that. So once you come on, we don't want to break our interview to ask you to like and share the content. So once you come on, you like the content and you share the content. Big up to Owen and Rudolph and Travis Pessel, who have already made comments. And the rest of you who are watching, feel free to be a part of the discussion as we go on. Today, we have Wooldie Harris. I mean, he has what I would call an illustrious, elaborate middle name that I'll ask him to come on and express and explain to you and say that to you so you can know. It is very interesting, but they all have meaning. He is a Clemson Tiger, a Colorado Rapids star, Foxes star. He also was at the Revs, which is a New England Revolution, a reggae boy. You don't know he's part of the Purple Clan, right? His father, is a big time Jamaican legend. The great, they call him Trevor Jumpy Harris. This is his son, right? He won, I think, a Caribbean Cup. Think in Guadeloupe or against Guadeloupe for Jamaica. He was part of the campaign in 1998 as well that led up to that. So we're going to talk to him today. He's now a coach, and we're going to hear his journey and his story. So help me welcome Mr. Wooldie Harris to our show today. Mr. Harris, welcome to I Am Sure Sports. So good to have you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on the program.
Wonderful. How is it in Colorado right now?
Oh, it's getting warmer. It's been cold for a very long time. It's just part of the whole gig, and when you're in certain parts of the country, it takes a little bit longer to get warmer. So,
Okay.
I've always been in and out of Colorado, so kind of used to it. But you still get cold.
Okay, and it's also one of those places that is known for having what they call thin air. It's the altitude is a little bit higher than other places in the States.
Yeah, we're 5,280 feet. I think 5,280 above sea level, so almost a mile high, and they call it the Mile High City. So you find it a little bit. There's less oxygen in the air, obviously, with altitude. So it's harder to to play for longer. The endurance, you really have to build up your endurance to play at a high level at this elevation. And it just make it challenging, for opponents to come in, and challenging for our players to get fit as well. So, interesting dynamic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Does it affect like players who play consistently at that altitude? Does it affect them when they have to come down to the lower altitude?
Yeah, it's actually a bonus when you come to lower altitude. You're able to absorb more oxygen, so to speak, and then you'll be able to have more endurance. So it can be an advantage. But then again, the counterpart to that, to counteract that, obviously, if you go into humid climates where it's very humid, you find that it kind of balances itself out, and you don't have as much of an advantage.
Whoa, that's interesting. That's interesting. One of these days, you need to come and just give us some education and altitude, because we always seem to end up in the Azteca or some place where the conditions are not ideal for our players, and we struggle in those kind of climates. So it would be good to hear and get some lessons from you. Maybe you ought to be one of those consultants for the national program when they have to travel to those places to help them to adjust to the climatic conditions.
Yeah, the national team has been here a couple of times. I think I remember not this past Gold, maybe this past Gold Cup they came here, or no, the Gold Cup before they came and played a game in Denver, and I went to watch them. So it was good to know that that they could come here and handle themselves, although not training in the altitude. They did well.
Okay, awesome. Listen, well, again, I mean, so good to have you. This is your time. This is your moment. I'm just the facilitator of hearing your fascinating story. So I want you to begin by telling us about you, where it all started. You come from a football. The people would say you have on sweats, so football is in your sweats and not your jeans, right? But
Yeah.
so tell us about how it all started for you from your early days here in Jamaica all the way to college in the States and then onto the MLS.
Oh, you're sending me a ways back. Yeah, you're right. Football was in the blood from a very, very young age. Obviously, my father played for the country and played, big legend for Kingston College and obviously the nation. Played for Jamaica, played for Michigan State, who is a Hall of Fame as well. So I grew up around football. And at the time where I was born, 1974, he moved into coaching, and I was always around his teams and teams as coaching, following him to training and so forth and so on, and caught the bug at a very early age. Didn't start playing organized football till I was about 7 or 8. Played for Vaz Prep, and then Medhaven was my first club.
Wagga Hunt was there at that time?
Wagga was there.
Oh.
The coaches were Marv Ventura, Wagga Hunt, and my coach at Vaz Prep was Donald Chinlan. And he was the one that coached at Medhaven at the time. And I did my first international tournament at, I think, 8 or 9. That same Medhaven team went to Holly Hill Soccer Tournament in Tampa. So from a very early age, I was into the sport, and I actually started as a centre back, as a stopper.
Whoa!
Yeah, that is where I started my experience. So I started in the back and eventually just kind of graduated from position until I got to the forward position. So Vaz Prep started out there playing centre half, and I remember I just basically assigned to mark the forward. And it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot from seeing, being behind the game and seeing what is happening in front of me. And the players at the time were very technical, and I wasn't the most technical at that time at that young age. But as I grew into the game, I moved up from the stopper position, because back then you played 4-4-2, 1 sweeper, 1 stopper, 2 fullback, and you have 2 in the midfield, so forth and so on, and 2 wingers and 2 forward. So just seeing how the game progressed, I wanted to get more into the action, because at stopper you don't really do anything until especially if you're man marking, you don't really do anything until the ball comes. You have to defend. So I got attracted to that part of the game and started working on my skills a little bit more, and moved into the number 6 position, or defensive midfield, and then from then moved to the attacking midfield. And this is all in prep school before going into high school. And even
were you supposed to go to Wolmer's, and then you just had to go to Casey?
Actually, to be honest, the purple run so deep that I actually chose Campion as a second pick. Taking the common entrance. I chose Campion, and I passed for Kingston College, and
Okay, where did I hear the rumors that you were supposed to go to Wolmer's, but
I don't know, but I have no full mirror and virgin still, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you about that one.
Okay, so you ended up at KC. So just tell us about your time at KC until you moved and went on to college. What was that like?
KC was great. KC was great. There's such a brotherhood at Kingston College. I don't know if obviously I never experienced any other high school, but the camaraderie and the brotherhood that is at KC, it run very, very deep, generation, so to speak. It's almost, if you have a youth as a man, and especially obviously a boy, him going to want to follow your footsteps into Kingston College, because the brotherhood and the network is, it runs so deep, very, very close knit community of people. So obviously my father went to Kingston College, so it's only natural that I went there. And the experience was great. I learned from different coaches. I think my Pepsi year that I came in, grade 7 and 8, played Pepsi. We won. I think we played Colorada in the final and scored a hat trick. So I remember that distinct.
Oh,
So we won Pepsi that
I wonder if the same Calabar team that Juvenile was on, you beat them in
Juvenile was before me. Was before me. I want to think, guys. man like Geddes Alexander, I think.
That,
In
that
that
Calabar.
era, yeah, in that Colorado era.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a great experience to come in because I think we had one the year before as well. I think this is 1985, 86, somewhere there. And so there's a deep history of winning. And, to come in first year and win, just kind of continue that tradition. Actually, that year, we won all three. We won Pepsi, Colts, and Manning Cup. So it was
That's
a
for
great,
1985.
I want to say 85, yeah.
Yeah, because somebody said in 1984, somebody just Aideen Ariantes, don't know that is the correct name, said that he remembers training for Casey Manning Cup team in the summer of 1984, and he says you were a kid then, along with Richie Murray. Kids Wooldy used to kick the ball hard. Was fun to watch. Jumpy did everything right. So they also call you Jumpy at Casey as well?
No, everybody just can't hold it.
Okay.
Everybody just
Was
can't
it
hold it. But
difficult for you? I mean, because you go to Casey, everybody that they don't call you Wooly. Did they say that's Jumpy son, and there was this pressure to live up to your father's name, and
the elders did still. The elders did. The man that came before me, had graduated and are older gentlemen. They refer to me as Jumpy Youth. But all of them, even the Manning Cup players refer to me as Woolly. Everybody call me by my name.
Okay.
But in terms of pressure, I never really have any pressure to follow in any type of shoes. I think, my father's legacy speak for itself, but I never really felt that pressure to live up to the standards that he had set. But in my own mind, I always wanted to do things well enough to be considered for national consideration or to be, in the forefront of goal score, because that is what I love to do. And you're right, I love kicking. I did love kick the ball, kick it hard. So that's how I scored a lot of goals, but the goal scoring part of it was the most fun part of the game to me. And that is kind of what attracted me to move from the stopper
center back
position and further up the field through midfield. So I think I was playing midfield at KC, and then I moved to the forward position there, and that's how I get really into goal scoring there.
Okay, so you played Pepsi. You won Pepsi you won Colts as well.
No, I didn't win Colts. I won Pepsi, and then by the time I did 2 years at Pepsi, I think we lost the second year. We lost in the semifinals. Two champion, I believe. I might be mistaken with that one, or in the final. But we did 2 years at Pepsi, and then I went to Colts. And while I was in the Colts team, I believe it was the first year. I'm not quite sure. It was a little while ago. First or second year, I got called to train with the Manning Cup team. So I was going back and forth
between Colts and Manning Cup.
Although I never played in the Manning Cup the first year. I think this is like 87, 88. I was there training, going back and forth from Colts training and participating in Colts. Never won Colts, never won Manning Cup. Only did 1 year Manning Cup. I think it was 1989. And that was it.
You only did 1 year Manning Cup.
Yeah. Only did 1 year Manning Cup.
All right. So during this 1 year, were you a part of any of the Jamaica U teams like under 17?
Yeah, when I was in the Colts setup. I was in national under 16. Obviously, we played teams that represented Jamaica. We went to Miami Classic with a select under 14 team, obviously.
Right, yeah. They used to take under 12 and under 14 to Miami Classic.
So the teams that I went away with at the time, select teams were all prep. We went to Cayman. This is, between Vaz and Kingston College. Went to Cayman and participated in a tournament there. Represented Jamaica U12 level. And then the U14 level represented Jamaica with going to the Miami Classic, which is more of a corporate era, Kingston select team that we went to the Miami Classic and won that at the U14 level. And then the national under 16, I made a national under 16 at the age of 14. And we went to international tournament in Trinidad. I think that tournament lasted a month. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the tournament was qualifying of that, but you had participants like Costa Rica, United States. We had to go through Suriname, 2 games in Suriname, playing 2 games in Trinidad, played Suriname to qualify for the tournament. And so I did that. Ended up scoring a couple goals there. but in the actual tournament itself, didn't get any got up some opportunities, but the opportunities fell to other players, and we just couldn't. But we didn't lose any. We didn't lose any matches, but
Okay.
we didn't make it to the second round of the tournament. We won one match against Costa Rica. So I think we
Okay.
played Costa Rica, Canada, and there's one more game. I don't remember the team that we played.
Whoa,
So-
I mean, you didn't go through that's because those are normally the top teams in CONCACAF.
Yeah, they're big teams at the time.
Who are some of the players? You remember any of the players who would have been a part of that tournament with
Yeah,
you
man.
on that team?
Yeah, man. You have players, obviously Jamal Green, one of our brethren, played at Kingston College as well. Shamaya Han, guys from Campion, they call him Big Reds, Gregory Aking, Kimani Robinson was
Robinson, yeah.
Kimani Robinson wasn't on that team, but it was Gregory Aking and another really good player, Huey Ferguson. Huey Ferguson was on that team, big player for Campion. Capo, Jason Craig Watson, Bobla G, I don't remember Bobla Reed's name. But myself, Courtney Murray. I'm not sure if you know that name.
Yes, I know Courtney Murray.
Murray. Both of us were the strikers on that
Oh,
team. Chris Bailey, you big striker for Excelsior. There's quite a few other names.
all right. Don't worry about it, man. I know you're not gonna remember all of them. That sounds like a corporate era team again.
Again, but the guys that came from outside the corporate area, I don't remember.
You only remember them because
but we had quite a few. I remember our brethren named Bones, came from. I'm not sure if he went to Rossi's or just one of the schools at outside the corporate area. But we had quite a few. Geddes Alexander again with Colorada, he was on the team. Roger Thomas went to Meadowbrook, and so we have quite a few guys that represented the country that played for that team.
Okay, so you did 1 year at KC and then you migrated.
1 year at Manning Cup.
Right, 1 year at Manning Cup, and then you migrated.
Yeah, migrated.
You finish up high school in the States and then went to University of Connecticut.
Yeah, I went to
for your freshman year.
Yeah, both myself and Jamal Green, we moved. Our families were close, so we moved to Florida together. And we went to Winter Park High School, played 2 years of high school football. Before he got recruited to Clemson and I got recruited to UConn. And we both went on full scholarships. And then I reverted to playing midfield when I went into high school in the US because of the dynamics of the team and our skill sets within the team. The coach found it more useful for me to play midfield than to play up front. So I got recruited as a midfielder out of high school in the United States. And that is where I played at UConn. And I still scored goals from midfield, but I didn't see myself progressing to where I wanted to go at UConn. So I decided to call my brethren Jamal and say, oh, you have a space down there for me more coming forward. Yeah. So luckily for me, the coach was receptive and I was able to make the transfer, and that's where I moved back to the forward position and really flourished at Clemson.
At Clemson, because you are the all-time leading scorer for Clemson with I don't know if the record has been broken. Has it been broken? 76 goals in it? No,
76 goals in 3 years.
In 3 years. Has that record been broken?
No, not to date, no.
Whoa. So you're part of the Hall of Fame there?
Yes, I was inducted in 2017, I believe, to both the high school, both in the same year, both the high school Hall of Fame.
That's the high school in Florida. What's the name again?
Winter Park High School.
Okay.
Yeah, Winter Park High School. I got inducted into that Hall of Fame and the Clemson Hall of Fame in the same year, 2017.
Did you win NCAA?
No, I didn't, but my father did. He was coach and he won it twice. I think twice, yeah.
Your father won it at what? Michigan State?
Michigan State. He's a Hall of Famer there too.
Yes, he is right. I remember that story. So you scored 76 goals in 3 seasons and never win the NCAA?
Yeah, well, one don't affect the other, because you have league play, and then obviously, when you go into the NCAA, you have to qualify for it first. And I think we qualified at Clemson. I qualified 2 years, my sophomore year and my senior year, but we didn't qualify the junior year. So
that means you were All-American as well.
Yes.
In both years at Clemson.
2 years at Clemson. I think my junior year and my senior year.
Okay. And it was from Clemson that you moved to the Colorado Foxes.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
so-
All right. So I mean, how come you ended up at Colorado Foxes, having scored so many goals and thing? Did they used to have like? Because I know they have a draft thing now where they take the college players into the MLS draft. Did they have the draft, and how come you didn't end up in the MLS draft? Seeing that you were you mean you had a good record, a big record.
Yeah, that's an interesting question and still a mystery to this day for me. But at the end of the day, looking back on my career, I don't have any regrets about it because it has made me into the person that I am today. Through the struggle and through the turmoil, the adage of what don't kill you make you stronger is very, very true. Because in that year, 1996 was the first year that MLS was going to come. Was the inception year of Major League Soccer. And it
Oh,
was the first time they were having a college all-star tournament in order to see these these
the
the talent
college
on
players.
display, the college talent on display
Ah,
for the upcoming MLS draft. And from what I recall, in USA Today is a very reputable publication. I was projected at number 2 or number 4 in the draft and never got drafted at all. So
whoa,
that was interesting. And
whoa.
but what ended up happening was a blessing for me in that the Atlanta Rockets at the time, which was in the A League, what is now the USL, drafted me, and it was the head coach was a Clemson alum. I think his name is Morgan, and he was good friend with Lon Donaldson, and Lon obviously is another KC man and a Jamaican, and Lon was the head coach of the Colorado Foxes at the time, and so Lon worked out a trade to get to acquire me, and that happened. I was happy after that. I came into the Colorado Foxes and
Oh,
in a
wow.
situation where I get to play with Jamaican legends too. So
All right, we're gonna get into that. Rudolph is asking. This is Garfield Ratty Robinson saying, "Bless up, sir, man. Is respect, my ball a wooldy."
respect, no respect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Rudolph is asking, what year was that when you played for UConn?
1992. 1992.
1992. Okay, so Lauren Donaldson was the head coach at Colorado Foxes. There are a few Jamaicans there. You got traded to the Foxes, but you only played one season with the Foxes.
Yeah.
And you led the A League, huh?
Had a good time that year.
Yeah, you led the A League that year with I think 17 goals. You were the leading scorer in the A League. At Colorado Foxes, and you had several Jamaicans there with you. Tell us about that, and then
we have a big them up. Walter Boyd is the biggest name out of the bunch. Is Walter Boyd,
Walter Boyd.
Yeah, had scored several goals from his services. So I have a big up blacks. Obviously Anthony McCreed was another winger, winger, fullback. He could play everywhere. He played for the national team as well. So
yes,
people in Jamaica know his skill sets.
The KC man too.
No, I think nickname Dingy. I think Dingy went to Dunoon. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. One of the two.
I think he and Freddie went to the same school. Freddie, but I think it's Dunoon.
So it's Dunoon.
Yeah. Okay, so you had Walter Boyd, Anthony McCreed.
Yeah, Fabian Davis came a little bit later.
Okay.
Gregory Messam.
Gregory Messam?
Yeah. Messam was there as well.
Okay. And plus you, that's 5.
Yes.
And then Lauren as coach.
Yes.
Okay. So that must have been a good transition for you then.
It was a great transition. That's why I said earlier it's a blessing. That happened, although I never make it to the top tier at that point in time. It gave me, it grounded me so much to that I really had played with a chip on my shoulder and, to say, hey, I'm going to show you why I should be in the top tier, and I'm happy to say that, the guys that I played with at the time were very, they provided the services and I was able to finish and I ended up scoring quite a bit of goals and really caught the eye of Major League Soccer.
Here's a big question because you just said it. This is now 1996, 97.
96.
96, right? Walter Boyd gets called to the national team. McCreek gets called to the national team. Messam,
And
Davis,
Fabian.
and Fabian. You were the leading goal scorer in the league. Were you called up at that time?
Yes, I got called in for a few games. Actually, I got called in when I was at Clemson for U23s and we didn't
Okay.
qualify. So and at the time, it was Rene Simoes was the head coach of both teams, and so he got to saw me with the got to see me with the U23s, invited me to the Carabana tournament. I want to believe it's 1995. Maybe 94, 95. There's a Carabana tournament in Canada, and that was my debut, for the full senior team was at that time. So by the time 1996 rolled around, he already knew who I was, and I got called.
Okay.
Few of the qualifiers.
So that season when you had the 17 goals, you were called up to the national team, because this is during the World Cup campaign as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got called into a few games, but it wasn't consistent games, back-to-back games. It was here and there. They're in and out. I think Walter was called in for most or all, and Fabian Davis and Gregory Messon were both right and left back at the time, so they called in starting players.
Yeah.
So they got called in for.
You remember which one of the games you played in the campaign during that time?
Not during that time. I can't really recall the schedule. I remember a Honduras game. I remember a Mexico game, because actually the goal that Walter scored again in the Azteca, I did a part blocking. Yes. The one blocking the clearance, and the ball fell to him and he went in and scored. So I remember that game vividly, but other than that, is kind of all a blur.
All right, you had such a good season in your first season in the A-League that the season after that, the Colorado Rapids, who were in the MLS, did they come in and get you, or you were traded again?
Actually, our owner of the Foxes was a German gentleman, and actually went over and went on trial for FC Cologne and Mönchengladbach. I never made it to Gladbach because Cologne liked me so much, and then ended up that the coach got fired and never made it there.
Man!
And that is how I came back to the MLS. And the MLS at the time, they were doing some strategic placement of players, and because I was already in this market in Colorado, they just said it's an easier transition for me to go to a Colorado MLS team than any other state. Actually got a call from the LA Galaxy coach prior to them assigning me to Colorado. So it could have been either way, but it turned out that I came to Colorado, stayed in Colorado, and had much success here. So I had a good time.
Yeah. All right. Aiden Ariantesen, what year did Wolde play Manning Cup?
1989.
1989. All right. And then Ricardo Badger is asking if Jamal Green is involved in football still at any level.
No, I think Jamal have a different career now. Jamal has been in New York for a very, very long time, working for some reputable companies in New York.
Okay.
And he's in HR, at a high level. So he's doing very well.
Yeah. So you played 3 years in Colorado. Your best season was in 1998. You scored 13 goals. Mm-hmm. And this is why I asked, because you're still your first, and that was the first season in the MLS.
No, my first season in MLS was 1997.
Right.
Scored 5 goals in that year, and then I think the second season is when I scored
13.
And then the following season I think I scored 8 or 9.
Okay. So I asked this question because we were having problems in the campaign scoring goals. I don't know. Well, in 1997, we were having problems with goal scoring. And I think at the back end of that campaign, they actually went and got Paul Hall, Dean Burton, Robbie Earl,
Fitzroy
Simpson, and I think Frank Sinclair came in at the back end as well.
Frank came after all the ones that you named, I think.
Okay.
If I can recollection is correct.
Yeah, I bring up that because I'm saying that were you looked at doing the goal scoring drought to come in and try to plug that gap?
I don't recall it being that way. I think at the time, and we can't forget Orlando Lowe. He was in the mix as well. And the coach would switch between Walter and Andy. Walter and myself, obviously
And Freddie
Freddie
Buck,
Butler, and
yeah, Paul
also
Young,
at the time,
and Paul Young,
Paul
yeah.
Young was a big was in front. Those guys were ahead of me. Obviously they're a little bit older and more experienced, and
Okay, okay,
yeah, very, yeah, those guys were ahead of me in the selection process.
okay, okay. So let's come to 2000. So this is the 1998 campaign done. We went to the World Cup. We are coming back now.
Mhm.
This is now the for 2002 World Cup. No, because you would have gotten a little older, and now you were traded. You moved from Colorado to the New England Revolution.
Right.
All right, in the year 2000. All right. Yeah, in your you scored 15 goals in the first season with them, which would have been around the 2000-2001 season, which is now the beginning of the campaign. Did that impact you getting called up to the national team at that time, and what was it like playing in New England?
Yeah, New England was a good change for me. Obviously, the first year the team was geared towards playing a certain style of play, and I flourished under Fernando Clavijo, God rest his soul. Created a team that was very attacking minded, and we had some players in the team, international players like Leonel Alvarez, was playing in the midfield that defensively were very solid, and I was able to just express myself freely in an attacking capacity in that team and in that makeup. Not to say that I was also playing with a college teammate, Imad Baba, who was playing on the wing that knew exactly where I wanted the ball, and when we had a chemistry from college. So having that dynamic within that team in New England in that year 2000 was very, very fruitful. Bear fruit for me, because they looked to play me in. I was on the end of things. A lot of goals. I think I scored 6 or 7 consecutive matches or something like that, and ended up with I think 15 goals or something like that at the end of that season. And then the following season, the season that followed, change, style of play change, personnel change, and
Yeah, you're traded in the middle of the season.
Come again?
You were traded in the middle of the following season.
No, I was actually traded in 2 years later, in the middle of the season.
Yeah. To the Kansas City Wizards.
At the time it was the Wizards, yeah.
Yeah. So did you play an active part in the campaign that led to the 2002 World Cup for Jamaica?
Yeah. I got called in quite a few times for the two. This time we're talking about Clovis de Oliveira.
Right.
And he called me in quite a bit, myself, and obviously the players that were competing at the time. This time Ricardo Fuller was a very big striker at the time. So the dynamics of the selection process changed, but I was involved in more call-ups during that period of time. Yes.
Okay. I mean, how was it? I mean, we're gonna get back to your club career, because after the Kansas City Wizard, you went to the Swedish club Bodens BK.
Yeah, I went. Actually, I had a brief stint at the Charleston Battery right before then, because when I got cut by the Wizards, it was early in the year 2004, and never had a club until I believe April or May. And I went down. In the meantime, I needed a team, so I went down and I played for Charleston Battery for until I think June, or the end of June going into July, and that's when I made the move to Boden in Sweden.
Yeah, and what was that like for you? And what was that like for you in terms of adjustment, moving to new country, different style of play? Because you didn't spend long there. I think it's just a year and stuff.
I spent the rest of the season in I didn't do very long, but I enjoyed the experience, and to play professional football outside of the United States, which was the only country at the time that I was playing professional football, and was great for me. I always wanted to go to Europe, although this is Scandinavia, it's still a part of Europe. Never make it to the big Premiership team or our Championship team, but it was very difficult. It's still difficult, during those times to break into those leagues. But it was great to be in Sweden, different culturally. Where I was particularly was very close to the North Pole, so to speak. I think we're an hour's drive or something like that outside of the Arctic Circle, which Arctic Circle is like top of the world, you know. So
Whoa.
it was I arrived there. It was cold, and no, actually it was warm. Didn't get cold until later. But what was interesting was that you had like 24 hours of sunlight, you know,
That's
and
what. That's what. Yeah.
that was very, very different for me. So, you know, when you come from practice, when you finish a game at like regular game start at 8 o'clock in the evening, the sun is like 45 degrees, and then by the time you finish at 10 o'clock, sun is a little bit higher, and then by the time you reach home and start to want to go to sleep at 11 o'clock, the sun just barely come down again, so you have to block out the windows in order to, you know, create
Whoa.
dark so your body can move into that space of sleep, you know. So that was the interesting part, apart from culture. You know, people are very different, very down to earth people, but still very different. And, you know, played with a mixture of different cultures. There are a few Russian players on the team, few American players, obviously being the only Jamaican on the team, or, you know, but African players and English players on the team. So it's good to experience that and meet those type of people and play with those type of people.
Yeah.
At a different perspective. So I enjoyed it.
You ended your career at a Salvadorian club, Club Deportivo FAS. That's where you.
Fast. Yeah, fast.
Fast,
Yeah, that was an
yes.
interesting experience too. That came up after another stint in MLS with Colorado in 2005, 2006. Went down to El Salvador. and
You
played
love
6 months.
Colorado, man.
Well, it is an interesting dynamic here, you know. I was saying when I got this job with the Rapids, because I came through a USL club to get this job, and the USL club is in Colorado Springs. You know, so
Yes.
both my playing career and my coaching career has gone through the second division up to the first division playing, and the second division into the first division coaching.
Coaching. Whoa.
Yeah, and all of them came through Colorado. So I don't know what it is here, but these are where the opportunities came up for me, and I was just happy that I got the opportunity to do it, and still doing it to this day. So I have to give thanks for it.
Yeah. What was it like in El Salvador? Because the last Jamaican that I had on, his name is Sean Fraser, who was in.
Fraser.
Yeah,
he did really well. But there's a couple of Jamaicans that played down there.
he told a very interesting story. You understand me about?
Yeah? About
a life
the
and death.
environment, or just about the play in general?
No, a life and death situation, and how.
Oh, yeah, it can get hairy very quickly down there.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Kingston, but obviously in Kingston, you know, everybody knows you as a baller, so don't really run into certain issues. But there you can run into some issues very, very quickly. Crime is very high, poverty is very high, you know, but they still respect the sports people in the country. It's just obviously, you know, it's a very interesting space to play, you know, because they're very passionate people about their football. You know, not to say that Jamaica isn't passionate, but it's a whole different level of passion.
Yeah, so. You know what? When I set up the whole and the thing and sent out the thumbnail, I didn't have Harborview in the description for the video, and somebody sent me a text says Harborview. Yes. All right, so
so I would not want you. I
would not want you to come on and do this and not mention that you had some part at Harborview. So did you do anything at Harborview?
Did a lot at Harborview. Harborview, because on the breaks from MLS season 97, 98, and I'm not sure if it was 99 as well, I would come back home and play in the Premier League. Come back home. I don't know if it was Red Stripe Premier League at the time. I don't quite recall, but played in the Premier League just to get more playing time. You know, I had a really good time. And you know, I have further history because my father coached Harborview.
Right, and he played for Harborview.
He played for Harborview for a while, for a good while as well. So we have some history with Harborview. So I have to big up all of the man about Harborview and big up the whole Harborview community. You know, definitely can't leave you out part of my career. And I have no friend and brethren, you know, Idrin, come through Harborview and still good friends to this day. Actually, John Green was one of the really good brethren. Them actually lived in Harborview for a very long time. I myself, youngest years, lived in Harborview, but on the other side, Caribbean Terrace.
Right, so, right. Yeah, right. Beside DV.
deep history in Harborview, East man.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. All right, so now that we have touched on the Harbor View, now what would you say is in terms of your playing career? These are the highlights. These are the memorable moments. The moments that when I look back, I will say, man, I'm glad that I was able to do that. I know that you played 25 games for Jamaica, scored 7 goals, and there were times when people felt like you should have been given more opportunities. I don't know how you feel about that because you always mention, that there were other forwards and the competition was very difficult and stuff. But 25 games, 7 goals. When you think about your career, are you disappointed with that? And what are the highlights? What are the high times that you say, listen, my goals at Clemson, my time at Colorado? Yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all, I have no regrets. I have no regrets in my career. I think everything happened for a reason. And at the time that adversity was reaching me with the national team or wherever I was, I always look to see how I can turn it into a positive. And I think the takeaways from the national team experience is that, although you may have the skills to contribute, isn't everything is not up to you. Some of it has to do with the selection process. Some of it has to do with the games, the particular games. Some of it has to do with the coaching staff and their own perspective. And basically, you have to just try to control what you can control, which is your playing. I have to say with the national team, it was very difficult for me, both psychologically and technically, because the players that were ahead in some ways had a different skill set than me. I wasn't really a dribbler. I wasn't really a man that broke to a man and have the speed to go score. I was really a box forward, so to speak. Need service, and with the dynamic of the national team at the time wasn't always that you get it down wing and cross it, and somebody like myself arrive and put it in the goal. So it's a different style of play, and I had to adjust my game in order to fit in. But I don't regret that. I learned from it and learned to adapt. And the people that are around me, I still have lifelong friendships with them. So, I appreciate that more than anything else because that is what stick with you. But as far as my career is concerned, the goal scoring part of it is what I enjoy. But the people who I met during and along the way, and to this day still have friendship and a relationship with, is what is the highlight of my career, to be honest. Because that is what is enduring. That is what lasts a lifetime. The experience of the football was just a small amount of time, and we share that experience together. So I don't really have one particular highlight, one particular thing, one goal that I wish that had counted, yes. But I scored 2 minutes later, which was a bicycle kick that I scored when I was playing for New England in 2002. I think that would have been the highlight of my career if I was to pick one moment. That bicycle kick went across the line but didn't get counted, but I scored a couple minutes later, so kind of make up for it. So that is the one that I remember the most. That didn't get counted, but at the end of the day, I don't regret anything in the career. All the goals, loved it, loved scoring goals, loved playing the game, and obviously still love the game, just in a different capacity now.
Yeah, because you actually won the Caribbean Cup with Jamaica.
2002.
Yeah, in 2002, right? Against Guadeloupe.
Guadeloupe was the last game. Grenada was where the tournament was hosted in Grenada. I think that's the last time I played for the country. It's the Guadeloupe game. It's the last time I played for the country.
Yeah, but you were still in your 20s, right?
No, I was actually in my 30s.
In 2000 and...
I think I was going into, I think this is when 2002. Yeah, early, I think it was what, 29? 29, yeah, I think 28, 29, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking in my head right now.
Yeah, man, not a problem. We're going to come. All right. Would have sent Pastor, ask him what he thought was his problem, or did the coaches tell him the same things, tell him the things he had to work on so he could make it to the next level playing, because he never settled in one or two teams?
Yeah, I never really got the feedback I asked the question quite a few times, but never really got the feedback as to what I needed to work on. And I really got that feedback from the coaches, but I asked, specifically in one meeting with Rene, I asked him, hey, how do I break it? How do I get it? What have you? And he just said, you have to just keep working hard. So that's what I did.
But what does that look like?
That's the thing, is that I think I got more opportunity to play under Clovis than I did under Rene. And I got more confidence from Clovis than Rene. He relied on me. I mean, I played in I don't remember this tournament in Trinidad that I scored a couple goals in, and that was kind of one of my best showings for Jamaica, because he consistently played me throughout that tournament. And Clovis gave me a lot more confidence to just be myself and play the game that I know to play, versus, Rene before that. I think the players that were there, it was an interesting, very different dynamic between the two teams.
Yeah. All right, let me take this. All right, I have a very interesting question coming up for you. This is Clennon Clark says, Mr. Finsock, that's your name?
No. I don't know.
I don't know where Clennon Clark get that from. I don't know if it's for you, but Wooly Harris and Walter Boyd at Colorado Rapids. How was playing with Walter Boyd? I think he spoke about that earlier. About he scored
Colorado Foxes. That was Colorado Foxes, not the Rapids.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was great. We shared a good time. Walter is a very dynamic player and very skillful player. And, he could beat players on a whim at any point in time. So basically, when Walter picked up the ball, I just find myself in front of the goal because
in the box.
The service is coming. And he had quite a few assists that one year in 1996 that we played together. He had a lot of assists.
Yeah. All right. So Karumi says Wooly Harris never got the respect he deserved, and he says goal machine. Yeah. I think he should have played more. But that's my opinion.
Respect Karumi, respect that, and but everybody have their own different perspectives. Yeah. So
now you mentioned that you never got the feedback, though you asked the question. You are a coach now, right? You have what level, and how has your experience as a player and the deficiencies in the coaches that had to deal with you, like you just explained, never told you, how has that shaped how you coach your players throughout your coaching career?
Right. Well, I think any coach that has played the game at a high level, or played the game professionally or to a certain level, you know and you experience the game, so you know what the nuances of the game are. You know what players are going through emotionally. You know what the challenges are off the field, and you can see where they can improve their game on the field. And is because you have that experience, it kind of gives you an edge into the player's psyche as to how they see themselves within the game. And coaching now involves a lot more than the X's and the O's on the field. It really is a more all-encompassing approach. You have to take a more holistic approach to getting these individuals better, because really what you're trying to do is change behavior and create habits, good habits that can lead to better performances and more consistent performances. So once you have that under your belt in terms of that experience, it's easier for you to both detect what is needed and know it's all about packaging the information to give to the player, and then the repetition is a big part of creating a new habit. So for me as a player, and I specifically work with the forwards here at Colorado Rapids, obviously in the MLS, it gives me a leg up on, for instance, a person that doesn't have the experiences that I've had playing the game, both domestic and internationally, and helping those players to gain some insight into what they can do to improve. And that is what drives me day by day, is to see the players taking on the information and going out there and trying to execute, and most of the time finding success. That is where you find the joy in the game as a coach.
Yeah, because you have coached at Clemson, Colorado Springs. I think you assisted at KC at some point as well.
Yeah, before I left Jamaica, I was the head coach at Vars Prep, We won the Alberga Cup in 2010. And then my father and my brothers, the entire family was invested in Kingston College during that time. I think it was 2008 through 2009 through 2011, I believe, the years that we were there. And I was assistant to the Money Cup team, assisting my father with the Money Cup team at that time. So after that, I got an opportunity to go back to Clemson to finish my degree and be a student assistant there. So I jumped at that opportunity. And then from there, actually was out of coaching for a while, for about a year or two, actually 2 years. And within that 2 years, I had my daughter, Ajani. Big up Ajani. Ajani's in there. So, I became a father during that time. And then the opportunity to coach came up again in end of 2014, going into 2015. And that is where I made the jump to the professional level.
Right. And you started out at
Colorado Springs,
and now you're at Colorado
Rapids.
Yeah.
Colorado Springs is in the USL Championship, which is basically classified as Division 2.
So, well, you're a head coach there?
I was an assistant for four and a half years, and then was the interim head coach for half a season.
Okay, so what is better, like in the lower division to be a head coach, or in the USL? If you're a head coach in the USL, would that be a better opportunity than being a assistant coach in the MLS?
I think it presents different challenges, and also I think the qualifications are a little bit different. Not necessarily different, but I shouldn't use different. I should say that there's more demanded of the coach at the MLS level. Obviously, it's the top level. It's like being not the Premiership, but it's like being in the Premiership. In that you have to, look at a lot more. There's a lot more detail associated with the game at the higher you go up in levels. So it depends on your perspective on what you want to achieve in coaching. If the USL certainly presents a challenge just like any other professional level, but there's more opportunity there depending on your accreditations or what have you. But for me, I always wanted to go to the highest level. No matter what, as a player and now as a coach, I wanted to coach at the highest level. So it was great to start at the USL level because there was not that much pressure, so to speak. And, you could learn on the job to a certain degree as an assistant coach in the USL. But to be a head coach in the USL, you still have to have the knowledge base as any other league. You have to know to train the teams, you have to know team dynamics, you have to know you have to be very knowledgeable to be a head coach. So you still have to do certain things in order to get that standard, to be at a high standard in the USL. And to be honest, the game is evolving so quickly in the United States that now the head coaches that are in the USL have very high accreditation and very big experience, long experienced coaches. So it's very competitive as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention the MLS is very difficult to break into there.
Yep. The year when you came down, this is Clinton Clark and BLO top of you with some goals. That's what the year when FinSac came about to bail out the country from the dead.
No, understand.
And we in the stand started calling you FinSac.
Oh, okay. I was on the field, so I never had any idea of what was going on off the field.
Clinton Clark, the real half of you, but all right. What is the level of your what is your coaching? Where are you at now in terms of you? Is it
USSF A?
A.
Yeah, and hopefully within the next couple of years, USSF Pro.
Pro.
Yeah.
Okay, and the USSS A allows you to coach like a head coach at MLS or a national team as well.
Well, in the MLS right now, the head coach is required to do the USSF Pro.
Okay.
But you can have the A license and still be an MLS coach right now. But eventually, within a certain period of time, you have to transition into the Pro, because that involves obviously purchasing the players, player acquisition, so forth and so on. And
so if you're not a pro coach, you can't like buy players.
No. It just gives you that information. It gives you that knowledge base, as to how to deal with that type of stuff, transfer markets, all that type of stuff is, I think, and there are some other facets to coaching that they provide in that course. If you have a USFA A license, you can be a head coach in the USL Championship or below. But I think
And you can coach at the college level as well.
You can coach at the college level as well. I'm not too sure what the accreditation requirements are for the college level, because I think from what my own limited knowledge of it is that you only have to have a college degree, because actually the college programs are there. The emphasis on graduating students, not necessarily the sport. So as long as you have a certain base within the sport, you can become a college coach. I'm not sure if they changed it right now, but I'm not sure if they require the accreditation, the strict accreditation as the professional level.
Okay, cool.
There's other accreditation as well.
Coach Karim is asking, what is your coaching style? I don't know if this is philosophy or style, any one of those.
No, there's player center and there's coach center. There's top down. For me, it's really all about the players. They're the ones that are going out there to execute. And basically, as a head coach at the professional level, you're just providing a certain structure and a certain platform for them to go and execute. What you see as the best style of play or the best structure for the team based on the parts that you have, based on the players that you have. So it's upon you to select the players that you want for the style that you want to play. Some people like to play direct, some people like to play short, some people like to play through the midfield, some people like to get the ball forward as quickly as possible. It just depends. And that is the beauty of coaching, is that you have different styles, different ways you can play.
Yeah, awesome. All right, here's what I want you to help me with. There has always been, at least maybe in my head, maybe it is just my own perception, but they say perception is reality. But over the years, I've realized that players who are either Jamaicans by birth, meaning they were born here, or players who were born in the States, but their family based in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. The ones in the US, especially those who go through the college system, I find it that it seems like it's difficult for them to break into national teams in Jamaica and be steady in those teams. Are there things about, is it a perception here that needs to change? It is just how the game is coached there, where there is not all this dribbling and all of that, but just do the basics and do them right. What are some of the factors that causes that to happen? And then as a coach, you meet that person connected to Jamaica, how do you instruct them to kind of prepare to be able to come out for the under 17, under 20, under 23 and be a staple in the national setup? I don't know if you have seen it, but tell me, one, there's so many Jamaicans in the United States, and we don't have one player born in the United States that has represented us on the male side in a very long time. So I find it hard to believe that so many of them could be in academies and we can't find one.
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really sure why that is. I know that, obviously the game here in the United States has been played in a certain way, certain type of structure. Position and roles are clear, most of the time clearly defined. I'm not sure what the setup is back home and what the challenge, if the challenge is adaptation, to playing with players who are more off the cuff, or are more into carrying the ball rather than moving the ball quickly and breaking lines. These are just some of the things that you get kind of drilled on here in the United States: breaking lines, playing behind, running in behind, and it's more of a physical, athletic game here, where we are naturally athletic in Jamaica and naturally skillful because of just the dynamics of the environment. You play on the road, any patch of grass you see, you're going to see some people that play, some youth that play football. But it's a very, very small area, and you have to be very skillful. So our environment plays a role in that as well. But that is not to say that the game hasn't progressed from the more dribbling style into a more structured, more fluid,
System based.
system-based,
Yeah.
style. I think over the years that has progressed for us, and it has moved us into spaces where we're finding success in more success in tournaments. We made 2 World Cup finals. That speaks to the progress that we have. Now it's really about consistency. And as I said, I don't know what the dynamic is, why you don't have more of the Jamaicans that are in the United States coming back home and finding it easy to break into, or to not necessarily easy, but to break into those youth national teams. Or I don't know if we have the resources to make sure that we're scouting and really getting the cream of the crop that are here in the United States. Just like kind of like what the women's team did.
Yeah.
The World Cup, where they took the college kids out, and then
Exactly.
But then again, you had a coach on that team that also knew how to deal with those kids that were coming from a certain structure and help them, in human season London, who coach here in the States, so they were able to now impart some of the structure and the knowledge that they had from the United States and the players that played in the college system here, and help assimilate them into the system in Jamaica, where you have a more skill-oriented short game, and combine the two and make it work. I'm not sure if at the
listen, hold it. This is I Am Sure Sports, so you can't keep saying I am not sure,
Well, I hear you on that, but it's something that I don't have, 100% on, because I don't have all the information. Then I can't say that.
Yeah. But I like that though. I think again you made a very valid point, and I'm wondering if this could be, because in the state maybe it's a more system-driven coaching culture, especially at the youth level.
Well,
yes,
you
express your skills.
Also moved forward in that. Remember that Mexico was a real dominant force in CONCACAF for a very long time. I mean, they still are, but then the US moved ahead of them for a certain period of time. 2002, 2006, and going forward, they moved ahead of them with, going into because you can see it in the qualifying. And what they employed was the academy system, which then now you had to come up with a structure for these younger youths within the country to learn give them a system to come through in order to make it to the national team level. And that is where the real big time change and shift in the structure and style of play kind of came to the fore. And it is across the board all over the United States. You have academies, and all of them are kind of teaching the same things.
I am wondering if that could be a part of the problem. So you have these kids or these youngsters who are drilled into, this is where you go when number 6 gets the ball. This is where you position. This is how you create the angle.
Yeah, the principles of the game. The principles of the game are
yes,
what really.
So they have that whole system. So when they come to Jamaica on a trial, or they come to Jamaica to get in, there is not a clearly defined system like that.
I haven't been here in a while, so I couldn't tell you.
Right. So I'm telling you.
Because I think what I'm saying is that the game has progressed, but I don't know what the systems are in order to. The system of development from one age level to the other. If that system is in place, that at all levels that these are the requirements and this is how we're going to play and so forth and so on. I think that's
what I'm saying. I agree with your point here, because the fact that we took all of these young ladies out of the college system, but we had coaches who were more familiar with the system of play that they were coming out of. It was easy for those coaches to kind of assimilate them into a mix with, say, some of the local players. The fact that if you have 10 kids coming out of the States who grew up 12, 13, 14, 15, playing a particular way, when you take them out of that as a single boy who is 16 years old, a single youth, and you bring him to Jamaica, and he doesn't have that system, he's going to look ordinary, not because he's an ordinary player, but he's coming to a system by himself with coaches who don't necessarily understand the context that he plays in, and so he's not seen as fit enough to play with the players. But you put him in the United States team, and he looks like a superstar, right? And then we look and say, how he couldn't make Jamaica, but he can make USA because he's working in the system that he was cultured in as a player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, and part of it is on the player to adapt as well. You know, it's not just because we play a particular style. We our attraction to the game is the flamboyance and
that is the problem.
and the individual skill.
There you go.
Take anything from any coach or anybody. You know, we've done well in the past couple of years. What we're looking for is the consistency, and I think it kind of merged into that. There's a lot more professional footballers coming out of Jamaica now than even when I was in the four mixed with the national team. You know, so that says that we have the ability to adapt. You know, but obviously, you know, for a kid playing in a certain structure and then moving into Jamaica, I think it's easier to come out of the country and adapt to a foreign style because there's than for a foreigner to come into Jamaica and adapt to the Jamaican style of play. You know.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
And our style of play now is evolving. You know, I think the style of play in Jamaica is evolving. We have the players that now have more exposure to top level tactics in the Premiership and in the MLS itself, you know, and so that it is shifting. It's just that it's shifting at a rate that it may be slower than we would like.
5 years now, when we're talking to you again on this platform, where will you be coaching?
I can't predict the future.
Hopefully.
I can't predict the future, so you know. But my goal is to become a head coach at some point in time, at the highest level. But right now, I'm just soaking up on the information that I can get, and learning as much as I can learn, because that's the game. Once you stop learning, you're done. You know, so the game is ever evolving, and I'm just enjoying the time.
Yeah, and have you have any thoughts of one day, you know, sharing your wealth of knowledge in terms of coaching with Jamaican footballers here?
100%. I was actually helped run the MLS Caribbean Combine a couple of years, and in Jamaica.
The same one with Tyrone and Andy.
Yeah, we did it together in Fort Lauderdale, I believe, 2018, and then when is it? 2019 came down to Jamaica, and we did it in Tivoli and with the Tivoli and Anna Gardens.
Right. I think that's where Peter Lee Vassell.
Yes. Peter Lee Vassell came out of that. That particular one he was the one that the scouts identified, and he came to the draft and went to LAFC. And then I think Jamoy Tope was in that group as well. I'm not sure. And he went to Philadelphia. I think he's still there.
No. He's at Mount Pleasant in Jamaica.
Oh, is that Mount? He came back to Jamaica, but I know he was at Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was over. Yeah, he was there, and then he went into the USL, and then he came back to Jamaica.
Okay. Well, that is what I know. That he came out of that same group, and then in 2019 was the last one, obviously before COVID hit, and we did that at Captain Burrell's center up in about UA.
Listen, what? All right. So as you go, just tell us. I mean, talk to that young player playing in the Premier League in Jamaica. We have some good talent that we have seen there. They have some of them called up to under 20, but I mean, there is something that is missing in terms of them being even MLS. Let me say it this way: we haven't seen the numbers in terms of Jamaican in MLS again. What is it that needs to happen with our local players so that an MLS club will look at the JPL or schoolboy football and say that player can come in right into our system now? Or is there a cap? Is there a quota system? Why we haven't seen the influx of Jamaican players in? I mean, Alvas Powell, Corey Burke, Andre Blake are probably the three more recognized.
O'Neill Fisher and Taxi. Kamara Lawrence is at Minnesota.
Yeah. Right, he just moved from Toronto. O'Neill Fisher. Javier Brown at Vancouver.
Vancouver. So there's still quite a few in the league. But if you check how they came into the league, some of them came through the USL, and then some of them got identified through other means. But there's a lot. I think I don't remember the statistic, but there's a lot of Jamaican players in the USL Championship. So for
Yeah.
me, I think there to make it in the MLS right now directly takes a certain level of maturity and a certain level of understanding of the game, ability to deal with new tactics and go out there and execute and being consistent. So it takes a high level. My message to the younger player is you have to continuously evolve the game. I know you get to a certain level with the skill sets that you have, but to make it to the next level, it's going to take a lot more hard work. And so you can't be averse to working hard. And for a very long time, you have to want to almost transcend yourself every single time you step on the field. And the biggest part for the younger player to be consistent, performance, and in training first of all, because you're creating new habits. So I know our culture, because obviously I'm Jamaican, I went through this myself, is that once you find a bit of success, you say, oh, I'm rich, and can take a play off, or we can take a day off, or go out there and it's just going to happen for me. And that now does work in the modern game. We have to bypass that stage, and you have to go out there and work hard and be consistent every single game, every single training to get selected, and you can't be afraid of going through the ranks to come up and play at the top level, because at every step you're going to learn something, so there's going to be very few players where you make the jump directly from Premier League to the MLS. And you stay at the same, or you go at a higher level. Very difficult, because two different levels. There's going to be a learning period there, and you have to be willing to stick to it, tough it out, still work hard as much as possible, and evolve your game, which means that if you are used to being a dribbler, now you have to find ways to combine. You have to find different ways to find success within the game, and that in itself gives you a bigger skill set. And with that bigger skill set, you become more versatile and can maybe even play multiple positions, in which case the chances of you making it to the highest level is much higher, versus only being one-dimensional. So for me, it's really all about hard work. It's all about consistency. And the last bit is surround yourself. Try to surround yourself, or getting surrounded where you find successful people, because those are the people that can give you the advice that you need in order to move your level forward.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very good advice. And I'm glad that you have said this, and I hope those of you who are watching and listening, share it with some of these youngsters, because a lot of persons in Jamaica give the USL a hard time, and they're saying that the USL is killing the Jamaican players because they go there and they can't move. And that's why we ended up having so many. It's like they just keep going there, and no one is moving from the USL. But
But you have to be successful at the USL level. You have to be successful at the USL level to make it to the MLS. So you have to put work and each game be showing your skills and being on top. And shopping, putting yourself in the shop window consistently, not just one or two games.
Yeah, so it's not a bad option, but you have to have some sort of timeline of when you get there, because I know like Dane Kelly and Nico Brett, those guys keep scoring a lot of goals and a lot of assists, and they seem like they can't get from there to the MLS for whatever reason, but it is what it is. It is an option. You go there, you set yourself a 2-3 year timeline when you're younger, and if you're not moving into the MLS, then you look to other markets. But you have to do that, and like Uli says, you work hard, you be consistent, and surround yourself with people who are birds of a feather flock together, is the saying. So if you want success, hang out with successful people, man. Some of the success may rub off on you, right?
Yeah, get a different perspective, as to what it takes.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to release, RNRSS, for example, like of Carlos Valderrama from Colombia, who couldn't play in an EPL in an EPL league. Yeah. All right. What we need to do as a nation to qualify for the next World Cup?
That's a big question. I think there's a lot of people trying to answer that question. It takes more than talented players to make it to the World Cup. I think when we made it to the World Cup, we had not only talented players, we had players that would go there and sacrifice themselves for the country. So you had really good players. You had players that had a certain mindset, that were hungry, and we did it. But also you had the environment to do it. I think we set the tone. I think the coaching staff and the management team and the JF at the time, that was it was a supreme objective, and everybody bought into it. Not saying that we haven't bought into it in the last couple of campaigns, but last part of that is you need a little bit of luck as well, and I think
I need VAR versus the USA.
This is true, and and I think you need to also close out games. The one game that I saw at the Mexico game really stick out in my mind this past campaign. I was like, if we win that Mexico game, I think the rest of the games would be a little bit. We have a different view, different perspective of ourselves. I think looking at that game and losing at the last couple of minutes in the conditions that we lost it was tough to swallow, and then going home and losing to I think Honduras.
No, it was Panama that gave us three.
Panama, yeah, that's right. I think that, and then
having Costa Rica to beat in Costa Rica again.
So it's not that we don't get opportunities. It's just sometimes luck don't fall away, and sometimes you don't step through the door. Sometimes there's individual mistakes. It's just
and
then have to kind of get for you, especially for a nation like us, And I think it will come in the future. It's just a matter of we have to stick to it, and we have to improve things. We have to improve things drastically in some ways, because you have to practice on good fields to get the habits that you need, and you have to make sure that people are in on time, and the locker room. I think there's a book that says I forgot the name. Oh, you win in the locker room first, which means that if everything off the field and the group is cohesive, then
that's the name of the book. You win in the locker room first, or that's just a quote from the book.
That's the name of the book. I think you win in the locker room first. I think I forget the name of the author, something Smith. Two guys that wrote it, and it's all about the dynamics of creating a team outside of the field, and make because when you step into the field, then that group act as one and behave as one and execute as one. And I think we're moving in that direction. It's just a matter of time, and we have to be consistent with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to check out. Mike Smith lead one of the most.
That's it, Mike Smith. Yeah, we talked about that now, how I'm dealing with the culture, creating a culture that was unbreakable, unshakable, and when adversity steps up, everybody face it together as one.
Yeah,
okay. Each part in the cog, each cog in the wheel play an important role.
And he says the 7 C's to build.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. You winning the lock.
Consistency is a big one.
Yeah. Yep. The 7 C's consistency. Listen, I want to thank you so much. I mean, for coming on. I know it took some time, but it all worked out. I'm glad that we're able to do this. I have a daughter moving to Colorado to work, so I don't know. Maybe one of these days you'll see me.
Yeah, man, no problem. Forward.
Yeah, and they own, but the owners of my EPL club, they own a team up in they own the Colorado teams,
Yeah, the same owner that owns our owner owns Arsenal.
Yeah, yes. We just got a
goalkeeper. Arsenal. I know there's a bunch of Arsenal fans in Jamaica, so.
yeah. So I'm an Arsenal, but they
just sold one of our players to Arsenal.
The goalkeeper, Matt. What's his name?
No, Austin.
There's a defender, Rusty.
Austin Trusty.
Austin Trusty, yes.
Young player, but very good, very good, very athletic.
Yes.
Things from him in the future.
Yeah, man. But thank you so much for coming on. If you happen to meet anyone in Colorado who is 19 and under and they have Jamaican connection, we are preparing for the U20s. Just tell them it's a nice island to come out and represent. You understand? We see we can qualify for the Youth World Cup. A little nudging from you probably will get them. But I want to thank you so much for coming on. This is the first time on any platform that I have interviewed a father, and I like how it went, right? That I am glad that I interviewed the father before I interviewed the son. So it had to just be this way. And I'm glad that I had the privilege of doing that. I mean, remarkable things you have achieved. Hall of Famer at Clemson. Have a record that is still unbroken in the school in Clemson history. Long season, 58 goals in a season in the MLS, 7 goals for Jamaica in just 25 games, and now an assistant coach at the Colorado Rapids, looking to get your pro license. And so hoping that somewhere down in the future we'll see you working in Jamaica, developing and building talent. So all the best to you and your family, and good success on the journey ahead. And hopefully we can have some more conversations. So thanks again for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Yeah, man.
And the other day you had Shepard and you saw me commenting, so I do watch the program. And like what you're doing, so keep doing what you're doing, and highlighting the folks that have come before, and and can give the advice to the future players coming up. So you're doing a very good job. Continue. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, wonderful. I don't know if you want to say thank you to anyone. Well, you did heal up. You know what? You did it already. You big up Casey already. You big up Alpha V already. Anybody else gonna get big up? Just go and hold that. Yeah. But sorry. Is there anyone you want? I'm just kidding. If there's anyone you want to say thank you to.
Yeah. Big up all the big up all of the footballers that played with and played against. Know myself. Definitely had a great experience playing against you and playing with you as well. All of the Jamaica national team, and all of them on them from U14, U16, U18, U23 days. Big them up. And I'd be remiss if I don't big up my parents. Father Jumpy, big up mother. Lana Harris, and my brother them Simba Shanga. Just had a niece too, so big up Kasha. And obviously I big up my daughter already, Johnny, love you.
You want to the sons. I don't hear talk about no nephew.
It's interesting, You know the man who have daughter, don't you know the man who have daughter would stay, don't you? All right. Don't even say before that. Once you get a daughter, you know. Say, he was one of them man that way. Exactly. So give thanks to the blessing still, because it's opposite of you, just I learn about myself.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But all the best, and thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your day, and enjoy Colorado.
Respect.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it, people. Our interview with Mr. Wooldie Harris. Stellar career. Did it all. Represented Jamaica from the youth level all the way up to the senior level. His father played for Jamaica as well. Great career. His father is a Hall of Famer at Michigan State, and he is a Hall of Famer at the Clemson Tigers. Played at the Foxes, the Rapids, New England Revolution, the Kansas City Wizards. Played in Sweden, played in El Salvador. Was a part of the 98 campaign, though he didn't play a lot of games. Won the Caribbean Cup, playing for Jamaica. So scored goals for Jamaica, as a goal scorer. Moved from centre back to centre forward. We thank him for coming on. He's doing continually growing in terms of his coaching license, and hopefully one of these days we may see him back on the island coaching maybe the senior team or maybe one of the youth teams. You'll never know. So I want to thank you as well for being a part of the discussion. All right. So let me just do this. Bam. Yeah. All right.
I just want to use the opportunity to pick up Robin Fraser, who's the head coach here at the Colorado Rapids, because he's a Jamaican too. And,
yes.
The way he played for the US, he's a Jamaican too. And
he's a Jamaican. Yes, he's the next one. You know, this is the same. You see the question that I asked you before? Like, how did Robin Fraser, every person that I talked to who played college football, talk about Robin Fraser, the Jamaicans. How did he not play for Jamaica? That is what I'm talking about.
When he left Jamaica at 11 and was here in the United States for a very long time. So I'm not sure what the dynamics is. But then again, also, we have a player on the team right now, Jonathan Lewis, who have Jamaican appearances in Jamaica. Even RIP Virgin and Luton Shelton came through here as well. So there's
Jonathan Lewis, how old is Jonathan Lewis?
Jonathan, I think Johnny is what, 23, 24, I believe.
Okay. So,
But
I mean,
he played for the US already. So I don't know.
Oh, no, man.
You understand? So,
man, this is the thing, man. We keep this. I'm saying that we keep missing out on these talents, and they end up playing for the US. Like, what is going on? You're gonna have to help me now. So, hey, your job is to spot them in Colorado,
I'll send them your way.
Yeah. Because we're trying to recruit. We're trying to get all of it. We're missing out on too many players of high quality who represent the USA, Canada, England that could have played for Jamaica and probably wanted to play for Jamaica.
There's quite a few, but not everybody can play for Jamaica. Some people choose Jamaica over the US. Some people choose Jamaica over other countries. So
I know, like,
it just depends on where the opportunity comes. Still, so
that's true.
You have to be ready for step through the door. Some come in Jamaica, some come to the US. I mean, look at I forgot what's the guy that came from West Ham? Is it West Ham? The forward. Mikel Antonio. Look at Antonio. He couldn't get into England, therefore.
Well, you know that he wanted to play for Jamaica long ago. Long
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's both ways. Just glad
he said the day when they came. The first time they came, when he was in the championship and they came and saw him, he said he was very ordinary. And whomever from Jamaica came there said that he wasn't ready for the national team. And then years after.
What I was trying to say is that there's different dynamics, and the opportunity, wherever the opportunity arises, then you have to look to take it. So yeah, man, big up yourself and big up my Colorado Rapids coaching staff. Can't forget them.
All right, you just save yourself, because Coach Robin Fraser would say, "Hey, you didn't even mention me." You know what?
Yeah, I'm gonna hear tomorrow. I'm gonna hear. It's all right.
Yeah, man. All right, blessings.
Come on, respect.
All right, people. So thank you again for tuning in, for joining and being a part of the show. It was a wonderful time. You enjoy the rest of your evening. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share the content so others can hear this great story and the words of encouragement and advice for younger footballers. I'm Management. This has been I Am Sure Sports, and we are out of here.
Watch about that. SK New heard this. The body out there. Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, you cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho Rios, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Yeah, someone on for the food from we young, from we there, you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.